This animation is about the Battle of Lexington and Concord. If you don't know, the Battle of Lexington and Concord is a battle that started the American Revolution. And, yeah, that animation will be about that. And, yup. Breaking news. The monster that has been specifically hunting down unemployed people has been caught and neutralized by our firing squad. Now, let's get on to the advertisement. Time Machine Model S for now 95% off. Buy right now because this is a 1-month sale and nobody is buying our time machines. So this is actually an out of business sale. Please buy them so we can stay in business. Please buy them, please. Gosh, that guy's such a baby. As a totally financially responsible person, I should go to the store and buy this. In order to go to the store, we need to use the teleportation machine. Trademark. Beep, boop, beep, boop, boop. Hello, can I get one time machine, please? Okay, that'll come out with a total of $1,200,000. The antimatter time thingy, this thingy, the steering wheel. Why do I need a steering wheel? For looks. The next part, it's a really big thing, so I have to wheel it in. So give me a second. Oh, and the screen, and can't forget about the time machine itself. Let me go get my wallet. Beep! Transaction complete. You are now the proud owner of $1,200,000 in debt. Congrats. No way he just congratulated me for getting $1 million debt. 3.5 hours later. Woohoo! I built the time machine. Now, where should we go? What about the Battle of Lexington and Concord? Alright, let's do the Battle of Lexington and Concord. Alright, let's go input the date and where we're going, and but before we resume and go to the actual Battle of LNC, we need to know why it happened. So, I'm gonna explain this. It is a stereotype that Britons love tea. The Tea Act fuels that stereotype. Basically, the Tea Act happened because the British East India Company had a surplus of tea, and it was the biggest and most important company to Britain at the time. And another thing is that the British East Indian Company was going bankrupt. The way that the tea gets sold is by first shipping it to Britain so American merchants can ship it to the 13 colonies in America. And colonists buy the tea from local merchants. But the Tea Act granted the company a monopoly. No, not the board game Monopoly. They didn't pass go when they reach America. I meant the control or supply in a commodity, the commodity being tea. So instead of going to Britain, then to America, they go straight to the colonists in America and made it so that local American merchants in the 13 colonies can't legally sell the tea, and the colonies can only buy the tea from the British East Indian Company. That was a lot of speaking. Now we're going to talk about an important event during the American Revolution, otherwise known as the Boston Tea Party. Now you might be thinking, what does the Tea Party have to do with this? The thing is, it wasn't no ordinary tea party. In fact, nobody drank any tea. The Boston Tea Party was a protest by the Americans because of the recently mentioned Tea Act. The colonists got really angry since the colonists had no representation in British Parliament, so they couldn't do anything about the taxes. So on December 16, 1773, a group of colonists called the Sons of Liberty had enough of Britain's control and corruption. So, on the night of December 16, 1773, the Sons of Liberty dressed up as natives to conceal their identity, and boarded the Dartmouth, a cargo ship that was sent to Britain. Then the Sons of Liberty boarded the ship and threw 342 chests of tea into the harbor. Ah, yes, the Boston Tea Party. A tea party where no tea was drinking. After the Boston Tea Party in 1774, the Intolerable Acts got passed, which made 5 new laws for the colonies. The first law was the Boston Port Act, that closed the Boston harbor until the colonists paid for the destroyed tea. The Massachusetts Government Act basically gave Britain more power over Massachusetts and made the state's government under British rule. The Murder Act made it so British officials in the colonies have lesser punishments, or no punishments at all. Here it is. The Quartering Act required colonists to house British soldiers. And finally, the Quebec Act gave Catholics in Canada the freedom to worship, which was probably the only good law in these intolerable acts. See what I did there? Man, I don't feel so... Yip yap yippity yappity yip yap yip yap. Oh, did you hear about the yip yap yippity yap yip yap? Hey kid, did you hear about the Boston shootout? Okay, so it basically went like this. Boo. Boo boo. Boo boo boo. Which one of you rebellious little idiots threw that?
Wasn't me. No,
I
wasn't me.
wanna
Alright,
guys,
what are you talking about? We're all gonna die. Blame other people, bro. No, it was you, bro.
I don't care. Guys, shoot them. At least that's what I remember. It did happen 5 years ago. Oh, look, the sun's going down. We should go to sleep. Wait, why did he place 2 lanterns down? Well, it was a warning set up by Paul Revere and Robert Newman. Newman set up the lanterns as a way of communicating to him how the British were going to come. 1 lantern if it was by land, 2 if it was by sea. And it was by sea, which means the British soldiers were on a boat. Wake up. Wait, what did you say? Kid, we're going to battle. Wait, guys, don't fire. Instead, hurl insults at them. Boo!
You guys
are
like
complete NPCs.
Pew, 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 pew.
The Americans were outnumbered, so they had to retreat back to Concord. The British split up in search for rebel supplies. But wait! More patriots came and outnumbered the British, forcing them to retreat. So the British skedaddled back to Boston, not without taking some heavy hits from the poorly trained militia. The thing is that Britain, the biggest and most powerful nation at the time, was losing to a poorly trained militia. But it really hits the fan when Britain was under siege for almost a year. Woohoo! We did it! We won the battle! Alright guys, I gotta go. Okay. Alright, let's see what we got here. $1,200,000 in debt. Oh my god, I owe money to the bank. Wait, I should sue them for false advertising. We find Rewind Time Machines guilty. And Rewind Time Machines has to pay $500 million to the time traveler.